Yes, folks, hello, welcome once again to MoDXtra Games and Collectibles. It is time for another action figure review here on the channel, and as you can see on the screen right now, we are taking a look at the G.I. Joe Classified Series Big Boa figure today. So stick around, because if you're thinking about picking up a Big Boa of your own, it is my hope that the content of this video will help you make your mind up. I'm going to take a closer look at the packaging and the unboxing experience of the figure and give my first instinctual reaction to Big Boa as I pull him out the box. I'm then going to move into some review thoughts and talk about the aesthetic and the visual experience. I'm going to talk about the articulation and the posability, and then do a quick run through of all the accessories and added value that is included in the set. And with all that said and done, that should hopefully be enough info that you know the whys and wherefores, the ups and downs, the ins and outs of Big Boa in his entirety. So let's not dilly-dally around. Let's jump back in time to the day Big Boa arrived on my doorstep and I cracked him open under the camera. Over to past Chris. Right then, let's get this big boy open. So here's Big Boa. He's in the new windowed packaging, or the return of the windowed packaging. You can see the figure and all the goodies on display through the window. A little bit of action artwork here. He's Cobra. It's the G.I. Joe Classified Series range, and he's Cobra's Big Boa. All lovely jubbly, nice shelf presency stuff going on there. Then on the back, we can see that he's 114 in the line. We've got the digital render artwork there with Big Boa doing, you know, Ultimate Fighting Championship things in a cage, some underground fighting ring or something. A couple of breakout windows here showing off some key features, the head swap and the hand swaps with the bloodied bandages on them, all the legal bollocks and malarkey across the bottom, as well as the data card, but we'll use the side of the pack of that. Right, let's learn a little bit about Big Boa then. A lot of extensive research on my part gone into this. So we can see here this little 5 stars in a ring. This is because Big Boa has a 5-star rating on Airbnb that he's very, very proud of. He's got a property out in Philadelphia. He rents it out to movie fans who want to travel to Philadelphia and go and see various Rocky filming locations. So there you go. Then we have the fist bump here. This is because Big Boa is a massive manga and anime fan, and of course his favourite of all time is Fist of the North Star. Got some dumbbells here because, you know, bro swole works out. And then finally, we've got this little kind of puppet thing going on here. This is because, a little known fact actually, folks, Big Boa is, as well as an accomplished boxer, he's also a very, very famous traditional Punch and Judy show puppeteer. In fact, he can quite often be found taking a leave of absence during the summer months from Cobra to come over here to the UK and run a little traditional Punch and Judy show by Southend Pier. So there you go. Or everything you need to know about Big Boa. On the other side here, we've got this large depiction of the artwork from the front of the packaging, and then just like more legal bollocks and malarkey across the bottom. So let's get him open. Get my finger in there, pop that up, and of course, first thing you come across is paperwork. Slide him out. Standard traditional red Cobra background for him. Okay, into the blister pack then. So we've got his boxing gloves up here with the little cuffs. Oh. Got the helmet head swap and a couple of dumbbells, as well of course. Oh, come on, Big Boa. Yeah, the figure himself. And here we go then, ladies and gents. Here is Big Boa released from the packaging. I'm going to go away, get him posed up, get a little bit of man-child playtime in with the figure, see how he fits on the shelf with some other Joes and Cobras, take some photos, see how I feel about it, and I'll be back in a couple of days' time to share some review thoughts. So stick around. Future Chris is going to be with you in 3, 2, 1. Okay then, let's get into the review section of the video now then. I'm going to begin by talking about the aesthetic qualities of Big Boa. Let's discuss the visual experience. I'm going to start with a full body head to toe eyeball view for you, dear viewer, because clearly the figure is heavily inspired, an enormous nod in the nostalgic direction of the vintage 1980s figure. In fact, arguably, very little in the way of contemporizing or modernizing the figure at all. It's all there. The helmet, the S&M spiky chest piece, the cod piece, the color schemes, the whole thing is through and through just a classified reinterpretation of that vintage figure 100%. Now, of course, that's going to be a point of debate until, you know, the line ends as far as members of the classified community go. You're either on the side of wanting the goofy vintage reinterpretations from Classified, or you're on the side of wanting something with a bit more movement forward, a bit more change, a larger reinterpretation into the more modern Classified look that they began the line with. I must admit, in my older age, I'm leaning much more towards being a kind of nostalgia geek and enjoying these idiosyncratic characters increasingly more as time goes on. But horses for courses, at the end of the day, there's no right answer on that. I'm just saying that the visual experience of the old vintage figure brought to life in 6-inch 3-dimensional plastic is appealing to me. Bringing Big Boa a bit nearer to the camera so that we can conduct a closer inspection of some of the finer detail. Let's start with the helmet, and you can see there's lots of paint applications, lots of sculpting detail in there to give it lots of texture, lots of depth, bring it to life, make it feel much more 3-dimensional, and to give it some personality. Got the orange visor, got the metallic silver paint applications on, you know, the fixtures and fittings, as it were, the filter grill. You got the black paint application on the pipe there, silver spikes, a little silver earpiece, some slightly different shades in this this kind of greeny, tanny colour that his helmet comes in, all present and correct. Relatively well applied. There's a little bit of spillage at the top of the visor there, but you don't really notice it unless, you know, you're making a YouTube video and you're zooming right in on it. But lots of lovely sculpted detail, bolts, rivets, you know, these sculpted in curvature of the helmet, little details around the back here. There's tons going on to like and enjoy about the helmet design, even if you're not so keen on the fact that it's very, very vintage inspired. Moving further down into the body, you've got the chest piece there. Again, lots of really good quality paint applications. The ring at the center, the buckles, the straps, the spikes, all painted in over the top of the red leathery look and feel and texture of the straps themselves. And then, of course, the highlight of this figure, as Lenny mentioned in the stream when they announced Big Boa, the nipples are now here. They have arrived. They are in G.I. Joe Classified series. And yeah, they're pretty well applied. Of course, the muscular sculpting is good. It's solid. It's sound. It's just the right edge of, you know, ridiculously overswole for a, you know, an action figure fantasy line. Carrying on down the figure, the same again. It carries on all the way through. The belt's a textured belt. The buckle's painted. Love it when they paint the belt buckles. The codpiece is textured in that. What am I doing? Rubbing the codpiece. The codpiece is textured in that sort of that sort of cobra serpent skin kind of motif. But each of the individual studs on the codpiece are painted. Look there, that's really nice to see. Nice, tight, shiny kind of spandex. And then we've got the boots here, which have got that classic sort of boxer's boot design, but also with the red sections in here, the sculpted pieces in here, to give it that that continuity, that little kind of again that sort of cobra uniform motif. So there's a bit of uniformity with the Vipers that he trains. The out of the packet hands are interesting. These are nice. They're fun, I think. He's got these bandages around his wrists with the blood stains there. I love the paint job. Let's make sure that's in focus. I love the paint job on the bandages there, the way they've applied the bloody knocks and scrapes bleeding through, and the detail, the sculpted detail on those is really nice. The lights are making the whiter colour of these bandages shine a little bit, but trust me, they're really nicely sculpted and they're very clearly identified. Maybe that hand's a bit better. Clearly identified as bloodied bandages around his wrist. Sadly, aesthetically, one thing I couldn't help but notice, perhaps it's because he's just entirely, you know, bare in the top half of his body, was the pinned arms. I've become so accustomed to pinless limbs on my G.I. Joe Classified of late that something about it just really stood out to me and sort of broke the kind of aesthetic quality there of the arms. But just while I'm here on the side, you can see again that sculpted muscular detail in there, the veins, the bulging biceps and all that good stuff is present and correct. The colours are good. They've done the usual G.I. Joe Classified Series kind of framing job with some wristbands and some splashes of red in the boots to frame the figure and make it visually appealing in that respect. The blue's nice and vivid. The red's nice and vivid. It's just in line enough to be uniformal with the rest of the kind of Cobra blues that you see across the line to date, but different enough that he's standing out and popping as the kind of unique... wacky, idiosyncratic training officer that he is. So I'm going to give Big Boa a thumbs up. I've enjoyed the visual experience. I like it when they go wild and wacky and cheesy and 80s with the figures. He stands out well in amongst the display. I've enjoyed posing him up with a variety of different figures, but your mileage of that thumbs up rating that I'm giving it will vary depending on how you feel about the fact that this is a very pure vintage reinterpretation in the classified line. Very little has been done to reinterpret it as a more modernized, more contemporary sort of sci-fi style classified figure. So take of that what you will, but hopefully that little run through the aesthetic will have given you a close enough look to help you make your mind up, if you're on the fence on that idea. Okay, there's aesthetic then. Let's now take a look at his articulation, shall we? Okay, then getting started above the shoulders, we'll go into the head. It's the classic G.I. Joe Classified Series articulation scheme. So we've got a ball at the top of the net, ball at the bottom of the net, giving us decent down, decent up, full 360, and some tilty action there in the head, giving a good range of motion. Very little around the neck, obscuring that movement, and obviously the helmet has got a kind of bit of curvature up the back here, giving us some good range of motion for our various poses and displays. Then you've got the hinge and sockets there, giving you a full 360 all the way around in the shoulder, and you can hinge the arms up into a T shape. Swivel cut there at the top of the bicep and tricep, giving you some movement in the top there. The double elbows, when bent, will get you up to there. And then both the hands, at least these ones, as he comes out of the packet, they're pegged in with hinges forward and back like so. And you can do your swiveling and whatnot in there. Standard classified ab crunch across the middle, giving you good movement forward and good movement backward. A lot of movement backward there, so you create this weird gap in his chest. And then the ball in the waist, giving you some swivel there, although, as I've encountered with some classifieds of late, it's a bit springy look. A bit springy, and even a bit of heat's not helped that out. Drop down ball joints in the groin there, giving you a good range of motion with the legs. You can bring them down to bring them forward like so. The full Russian ballet splits there. In fact, that's very good split action by Big Boa. Better than quick kick, arguably. Got your thigh cut, giving you some swivel at the top of the thigh. Pinless double knees that will get you up to there. Cut at the top of the boot that you can swivel, like so. And then the standard hinge and rocker on the ankles, giving you a range of motion in the feet. So it's standard G.I. Joe Classified Series articulation, folks. If you had one in your hand before, you'll know the routine by now. It's a thumbs up. Regulars around these parts know I like the classified articulation scheme very, very much. I think it opens up a wide range of opportunities with regards to posing, displaying, getting them into interesting situations to do your photography with, etc., etc. And Big Boa is no different. In fact, the absence of anything on his top half means that his articulation around his head and neck and his ab crunch is not restricted or obstructed at all compared to many other figures in the classified line. So probably even a bit better. So there you go, Big Boa. He's a limber one. Let's get started then on accessories now and have a little walk through all this added value that's with Big Boa. And first up on the list is the head swap. Big Boa's got a helmetless head swap. The first time Big Boa's been seen without his helmet, I believe. They've designed this uniquely for G.I. Joe Classified Series. Well, it's all right. I like having head swaps, but I'm not the biggest fan of this one. I get what they were going for. They're sort of doing the same thing that they did with the Chuckles, the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, with the sort of post-battle, well, this one's got a chipped tooth and a mark on his cheek and stuff, but it just kind of looks a bit goofy to me, and I can't get on board with it very much. I mean, on a practical level, it's all there. It's well sculpted. It's well applied paint applications. It's got well-defined features. The little mark on the cheek, the chipped away tooth is well put together and clearly done. But I don't know, it just makes him, rather than look like the kind of dangerous, vicious, combat training guy that Big Boa is supposedly, he just kind of looks like a bit of a the menace is taken out of it. He doesn't look threatening enough. He doesn't look like the nasty bastard that I've always imagined him to be under the helmet, and I suppose that's a big part of it. And then it's just kind of a bit broad-faced, isn't he? Just making him look a bit sort of goofy, dumbassy. So it's there. It's great added value. The fact that head swaps are becoming more and more frequent in the line is a positive thing. I rather they miss the shots they take than take no shots at all, to repeat myself from a comment I made recently on the channel. But this one's not for me. I am going to be utilising the helmet head far more frequently than this one. Next on the accessories list, we've got these pair of dumbbells, handheld dumbbells. I think they got 90 on them. Is that £90? As someone who is wildly adverse to any form of actual physical exercise, and certainly anything that involves going to the gym and lifting weights, I've got no idea. £90 seems pretty average to me. What's that, about 40 kilograms? I don't know. Someone let me know in the comments down below. My spaghetti arms can barely handle £10 anyway, so what do I know? But in any case, we've got those included. I know when they revealed the figure, the community, there was a few folks out and about who were a bit surprised that they'd leaned so heavily into the vintage look and feel of the figure and then didn't include the stand-up ball punching bag that came with the vintage figure and went with these dumbbells instead. But it's fine. It's good narrative storytelling. It's good world-building stuff. It connects to the visual identity of the character and the lore and everything. So I'm happy with that, and certainly stuff you can use in your photography and your posing and your displays, etc. And also I like accessories that are just sort of generically useful across your whole line. So while you would use them with Big Boa, you can use them with any character. Set up a little gym scene, take some shots, and anybody could be lifting those weights. And then finally, we've got a pair of boxing gloves, one for each hand, along with a little kind of cuff piece there. I've popped one on the figure, but I've kept one off just so that you can see what I'm talking about here with the cuffs. You need to kind of place that little cuff piece over the top there first before pegging the glove in, so that you've got that full boxing glove look and feel with the strap there. And you can see, if I spin that round a little bit, you can see it's got like the kind of Velcro strap sculpted into the piece. These are nice. They're well sculpted. They've got the little paint application on the back with the Cobra logo, the little splash of white on the inside palm section, which gives it, again, a little bit of depth, a bit of texture. And these are hinged on in and out hinges as well, just like the gloveless hands. So it's a decent accessory selection, albeit perhaps a little bit thin on the ground in comparison to the extent of the accessory added value stuff that you get with G.I. Joe Classified, broadly speaking. I've just recently opened up, some of my retro card back figures like Duke, and the wealth of stuff you get in there is offering up a bit more perhaps than this. However, it's chunky stuff that adds to the narrative, adds to the storytelling, adds to the world building. So I suppose you've got a bit of a trade-off there. But it's, I've used it all. I've taken pictures with it all. I've been able to find interesting things to do with the entire selection. Even the goofy head there that I'm less keen on, I took a nice photo of him looking all getting the shit kicked out of him by Quick Kick. So it works. It all works. So it might be a little bit thin on the ground, but it's a good, solid, decent selection, and therefore I'm going to give it a thumbs up. Okay, folks, well, here's Big Boa going around on the turntable. I tried to put him into a bit of a dynamic kind of boxing style pose. I don't know a great deal about the sport, but I think this looks right. Maybe I'll Google some pictures, but I was just playing around with him yesterday, and this was a kind of little position that I sort of landed on that I thought was quite nice. And overall, I'm giving Big Boa a thumbs up. I think it's a MoDXtra Games and Collectibles recommends for a G.I. Joe Classified Series collector. I'll just reiterate what I said before, that your mileage will vary depending on how keen you are on the nostalgic vintage replication and it just being a very simple reinterpretation of that vintage look, compared to wanting something that's a little bit more further forward in a classified style reinterpretation of the character. If you're happy with just a simple reinterpretation with nostalgic vibes like I am, no problem at all. But if you're looking for something a little bit more further forward, then you might find it a little bit frustrating. But the sculpting quality is good, the articulation is good, and while a little bit limited, the accessory selection is good. And I've had a lot of fun, and I've certainly found him a really interesting character to be posing around and taking photographs with. So it offers up the spectrum of experience that I'm looking for, from playtime to photography to display. So what more could I want? So there you go. All right, well, that concludes my review of Big Boa today. If you found this useful and you liked it, give us a like. If you're not already subscribed, do the subscribe, all the YouTube kind of stuff. And I hope to see you around these parts again for another review sometime soon. All right, folks, take it easy. I hope you have a great day.